Hi, welcome to Analytics for All. In today's lesson, we're going to be focusing on how to load data into a table in SQL. To do this, we're going to be using what's known as DML, or Data Manipulation Language. Now, this is a subset of commands in SQL used to work with data. You can add data, delete it, edit data found in tables. So anything moving the data or move data between tables, it's all under Data Manipulation Language. We're going to focus on the insert command in this lesson because we're going to be inserting data into a table. So let's go ahead, let's open up our SQL workbench and we'll work on it. Okay, so we have my MySQL workbench up here we're using a database I've got built here called DB test with some tables. So the first thing we got to do whenever you're doing this is make sure you tell your SQL editor which database you're using. So just type in simple, use DB test, give it a semicolon, and just go ahead. All right, now if you don't know how to make a table, I've got that video on that. I'll post a link below in the description. And there's also have some information on my website, analyticsforall.org, which I'll also place in the description. But we're going to start with this table we got here called employee. And this table has three columns: ID, employee, and date of birth. You can really quickly examine the table by just doing this. Right-click on it, say send to SQL editor, and send the create statement. Now this lets you see how the table was created. So we created the table called employee with three columns: ID, which is an integer; employee, which is a varchar, which is a string up to 255 characters. An integer, in case you don't know, this is a whole number, so there's no decimal points behind it. And then date of birth, which will be a date. All right, so we need to make sure that these are the values we place into each of these columns, or we're going to get a failure. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with, I'm going to insert into, so this is the command we're going to use, and then the name of the table. And then we're going to name which columns we want this to insert into. Because sometimes you're not going to want to insert all the columns at the time. But in this case, we're going to use all the columns. So then the next thing we're going to use, then we have to tell what we want. So we're going to put in values. Okay. So values is the command saying this is the actual data. And we do this by putting parentheses and placing each column separated by a comma. So we're going to start with the first one's going to be the ID is going to be 1. Employee name will be Ben. Another comma, and we'll put the date of birth. And we'll say 1980, well, not 1908, 1980, 0101. Okay, put a comma, and we can create another record. We could just do one record at a time, or if you want to do multiple records like I'm going to do, you do this. We'll say Christine, and we'll put date of birth of 1994, 01, 01. And in case you know, this is kind of standard date formatting for most SQL, where it's year, month, date. If you're in America, if you're set to Europe, you're going to have the month. You have the day first, then the month. But in America, the U.S., which I'm out of, it's going to go date then month. And then let's just do one more. We'll go 3, and we'll call this one, I don't know, Paul maybe. And we'll have it in there. We'll make this guy born 1990. February 1st. Okay, so put our semicolon at the end, and we can run this. And if we want to see if it worked, we just go down here to select star from employee, and enter. And there you go. Here's our values. Okay, so quick recap. Insert into, table name, in parentheses the columns you want. Then we follow up with the values. And you could just do one, but each record has to be wrapped in its own parentheses, separated by a comma. And within the record, each column is separated by a comma. So again, I'd like to thank you for joining us. You can visit my website, analyticsforall.org. I'll leave a link to the website below, as long as a link to some other videos that might be interesting as far as like creating tables and using DML and DDL functions. Thank you so much. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Send me a a message below, write some comments, let me know what you'd like me to cover. Thank you very much for watching this.